Teach the Z0. That's what we're going to do right now.
So we'll go in the handle to take the tool out. Set that baby off to the side. Make sure this is really clean. Make sure it stays clean up in there. Okay. So we've got that. So now all I'm going to do, the easiest way to do it, is to go ahead and go back to my position page, and I'm just going to move over to 0 or close. 5 thousandths is close enough for me. And 2 thousandths is close enough for me. And then we go in Z. We're going to take that right down to the top of that baby. Now, a couple different ways to do this. If you have a piece of paper, you can slip a piece of paper in until it touches, until it wants to pinch the paper, or you can turn the spindle on and just till you see a little chip or a little distant touch.
You got a piece of paper?
You can do
right there,
way.
right there on the floor.
Is that one all right? Check stub?
Yeah, that'll work.
I just need a little corner of it. So all you want to do is rip you off a little paper. Make sure you're in 1/1000th increment again. And you're in Z. And all I'm going to do is once you're close,
he's lowering it down as he's doing this.
So slightly. Now I can feel it start to grab right there. And I go one more, and it grabs a little more. And that's it. So right there is 0, is the top of the part. So now all we're going to do is go Z origin, and then make sure you go the right way. You're going Z positive, okay? X positive, Y positive.
And there you go.
And our number is 14221. So we go into Edit, Program, and we go and we find, whoops, I got too far past. So we find G92 in Z, whoops, right there. What was it? 14221. So we go, our keys on, Z 14.221, and then we're going to hit Alter. Watch it change, 14221. So right now, if that part was cut to the right length for the -5, we could go ahead and run that.
Okay.
But right now, that part's for a different dash number, so we couldn't run that or we'd have problems.
Okay.
But that's how to set up the tools.
Okay.
And the drill, so if you wanted to go, if we wanted to set the drill up next, because that's our next tool. So if I go NO2, cursor down, so if I come right down to the G92 spot again, right there, so my X G92 for this tool will be identical for the first one. It's not going to change. The Y is not going to change either. But the Z will change because it's a different tool.
It's a different tool.
A different height offset.
So we do the same thing. We find that tool, the .406 drill, and then we come down and we change the Z.
And we touch in off the top of the part and change the Z number accordingly. And then you would do the same thing with the mill drill also.
Okay.
Now, if in fact, like the last tool on your mill drill, as it comes down and it chamfers the hole or it writes the letter in, whatever it's doing, if it's too deep or too shallow, you would have to adjust this number. So if this number gets bigger, it goes deeper into the part. If that number gets shallow, it goes away and doesn't come down as far. Remember that these numbers are how far it's traveling from home position to the center of the part. So you can add or subtract from those different areas in order to bring it in just right.
Okay.
To where you want to adjust it.
Now the G code in this already has the speed written into it, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, to do a tool change, I have to make sure that they're in the right holder. And how do I change which one? Like that's a T3.
Okay. Good question. So
and it's looking for the next tool, right?
Yes. So let's do it this way. The easiest way to do it, go to the front of the program. Actually, you want to be to the end of the program. So I'm just going to page all the way down through the whole program. So right here, so now on the last tool, I want to find out which number, which T number. Where are we? T1. So right there on the last tool is searching for tool 1. So my very first tool, which is this end mill that we taught first,
right,
is tool 1. So we need to make sure that that end mill is in pocket or tool number 1. So how we do that is we go into position page and we page up, I believe, a couple times. So spindle tool right now is tool 1. The magazine tool is tool 3. So whatever is right above the magazine, just getting ready to tool change, is the actual tool 3. So your tool 3 should be in there. In this program, tool 3 is the chamfering tool. So
okay,
the chamfer mill should be in tool 3 or in that pocket. And then wherever tool 2 is, you would have to search. If you were to go into program, let's see here, program and go MDI, you would go T2 right, cycle start. So now the carousel is going to bring whatever tool 2 is right to the bottom of the carousel, so it's just getting ready to tool change. Even though that carousel may say 13, 20, 16,
in
19,
its mind it's 2.
It's 2. It's tool 2.
Okay.
And always know that. Don't ever go off what number it is in the carousel.
Okay.
This machine puts the tools in random order. It knows where they are, but not by what the number says on the carousel.
So I would want to make sure that it would pick that tool that's in there up now, grab it, flip it around, pick this one up. How do I know that this tool is coming down? Like, how do I get those in order?
Okay. As long as you get your first tool in order. So we know by looking at the control that spindle tool, so spindle tool, not magazine tool, but spindle tool is number 1, and we have number 1 tool in there right now.
Okay.
So we know that one's correct. So now all we do is we go, we searched tool 2. So we know tool 2 is in the magazine ready to change. So all I have to do is go to handle, and if I go ahead and hit ATC cycle and I'm at home position, I'm going to bring up tool 2. So tool 2 is now in the spindle.
Okay, so now but at this point in the game, I would now put tool 2 in there.
Absolutely.
By hand.
By hand, and then teach it. I would always make sure when you put the tools in, they're in the right pocket or in the right place, that the machine knows that number 2 is in the machine, and you teach number 2. You know what I'm saying? So we taught number 1 when it was in the spindle.
Okay.
Which was the 5/8 end mill. Now number 2 is in the spindle even though it's empty. So right now we'd want to set our 406 drill up in a collet.
Okay.
Put it in the machine, come down and teach it. Teach the Z on tool number 2 on the G92. Once you have that in there and set, then you can go ahead and you can go to MDI again. And we can do that, and we go to program, and we want to go T3 right, cycle start. So now that's bringing tool 3 down.
Okay.
Okay, so now if we look in the position again, tool 2 is in the spindle, tool 3 is in the magazine ready to tool change. So now all we have to do is go ahead and ATC cycle. So now we have the spindle tool is now 3 and the magazine tool is now 2.
Okay.
So now's when you could put your mill drill in, bring it
set
down,
your Z.
teach it.
Okay. And the magazine knows which tool is,
Even though it puts it in random places.
and it's not going to sit there and accidentally pull the wrong tool down and crash
Shouldn't.
it. Oh, shouldn't.
Shouldn't. If you yeah, document that one. Really. It shouldn't, as long as these numbers match up with what's there.
Okay.
And the very first time, even 2 or 3 times through the first cycles you run, you make sure all your tools are running correctly. If it's made it through 2 or 3 cycles,
You'll
you
be
should
all right.
be golden.
Okay.
You should be golden unless you had to stop it or do any reset or any problems amongst what's happening. It should be fine.
Okay. All right.
Okay?
Thank you, Eric.
You're welcome. I don't know what else you want to see there as far as that goes, but it's enough to get you in trouble a little.